my creative process is, I guess I live a creative life.
Okay.
So everything about what I do is steeped in creativity. So from cooking a dinner, you know, whether it's what I choose to read or do. As you've seen today, I live in a creative environment. So I always think that the thing that I discovered that I didn't know when I was a student or even when I was young was this word polymath. Right, and a polymath is a person that does lots of different things. So you could be a writer, you could be a director, you could be an artist, you can be a poet, you can be a musician. So a polymath is somebody that does lots of things. And I think, you know, like all the people that I admire and look at a lot are polymaths. So I think that that's the ultimate creative process. So my creative day or creative week takes on many different facets, you know, and obviously one of the important things, that the reason that you know me and other people know me is through education or lecturing or mentoring or tutoring, which again I find that as part of my creative world too, because I like sharing creativity. And I think I've always looked for my tribe, and my tribe is creative. Yeah, so creativity to me, well, I'm a writer, so I write film scripts.
Yeah.
I get films made, so I could almost say that I was a producer, even though I don't want to be, and you know, and I'm definitely a director, because I have, you know, the one thing that I learned about myself is I have the director's brain. So and then that brain is myriad. There's so many different reasons why, from the fact that when I was a kid I learned to read through Marvel comics. You know, I fell in love with music, cinema, obviously, art. You know, everything creative. So I think everything about my life is creative and non-stereotypical, and I think that that's really important with creativity, not being a stereotype. I think I celebrate everything about this crazy thing called life.
Wow. So you touched on you being a producer because obviously you're forced to do that. The situation sometimes doesn't allow to bring someone in, and being a director and a writer, do you have to wear a certain hat when you're going to maybe a writing room or going to a directing room or a producing room, or is it just the same to you?
No, I think ultimately anybody that wants to work with me wants to work with my reputation.
Okay.
So I think I went back into education in 1991, and then I did a BTEC, and then I did a BTEC to a degree, to an MA, to whatever. And what I've done is I've been very single-minded and focused on becoming what I wanted to be. So I think that's it. And luckily for me now, I have a reputation. So yesterday, I'm talking to an amazingly talented artist about making a film for her new record. So and doing something. And she's really talented, and in a very much in like a Kate Bush way. But she's come to me because I made work with people. I made a film called The Cabal Cut of Nightbreed, which was very, very successful. And so lots of people, all my commissions in recent, I don't really chase work. Cinematic film is different than, I think my reputation is more for music video and more for that creative thing, that it's an easy thing. Like everybody, a feature film is a much bigger deal and involves many more people. And I write for cinema, and I have a lot of cinematic friends, colleagues, creatives that I work with. Because I, as a creative, my favourite thing about being creative is collaboration. So this collaboration that I'm working on is exciting because it's new. So that gives you a great feeling for that day, that you're having a creative day. You know, and I think I've got like 4 or 5 things bubbling under. I've got a feature film that's like, I'm going to finish 2 days of editing, 1st and 2nd of June. That'll go to marketplace. And I've got a commission coming in that's quite big, and It's to make another music-based feature film. But again, it's exciting because I'll spend the next 2 years going to America about 5 or 6 times a year and interviewing really huge people in the music and film world.
Wow, so your story is amazing. The little that I know of that you shared with us and with me in particular. Last time I saw a post with you and Robert Dunity, and I was like, wow, like to me that just how do you meet these people?
Oh, okay. So there's a word that I like called simpatico.
Okay.
It means that everything joins together. So sometimes you meet a person and you just become friends with them. So I know, like, I get on with actors and creators. When I was a kid, when I was small, and I grew up in my family, I didn't know this about these people. But when I lived my adult life and I started to create, all the people that I joined up and became friends with were creatives. So my tribe is a creative tribe. So I screened and made and created, and sometimes you just become friends with people. Yeah, so I have friends. I know a lot of actors, and I've been friends with a lot of actors, and famous directors, actors, but anybody, writers, artists. They've been. This house that you're in now has had very many people come to visit. Yeah, and people have even paid. Last year I raised £1,000 by letting people come and look around my house. So I opened it up for the day, and I did tours, and so I guess your creative life, is all of what you are. I can't. With me, I don't want to live another life.
No.
I don't. There's no other life for me.
But this one.
This one, yeah, and it's very. My life is very authentic. I think that's the word that I use. That's the way I try to be, whether I'm a teacher, filmmaker, or anything. I just want to be authentic, and I want to. And I've got wisdom and knowledge now because I've been doing it for so long. So almost 30 years as a filmmaker. Yeah, it's a long time. And having had things shown on MTV, having collaborated with a lot of people, done a lot of interesting things, I feel really that that I got to where I wanted to be and got further than I ever wanted to be. But it's still the tip of the iceberg.
You've not started, as it were.
Yeah.
I know. We rushed to the end of it because our discussion was taking us there. Can you take us back a little bit to when you were a young person? How did the film come about? How did you know, or when did you get to know that this is what I want to do? At what age did it really hit you?
I knew. Well, at school I wanted to be a graphic designer, and I wanted to design logos for bands and for magazines and for things. And when I was a kid, I loved music, like I said, comic books and other and movies, right? And it became kind of like a natural thing when I got into like 21, 22, that I realised that all that useless information in my head had a purpose if I created moving images. So I did that early on, and I didn't become a director through vanity. I became a director because that's what my brain naturally does. Like I have I have a nickname in the music industry because I do lots of stuff with bands, and everyone calls me the Chief. Right, and maybe it's the chief because I've got long hair, or I think what it really is because I organise everything, and I'm always make everything happen. Right, so I'm like the chief. So all the bands that I know, all the people that I know, that's what they call me, because I'm like completely and utterly focused. So I think you develop. I don't think that you can wake up one day and say, I'm going to be a director. I think you actually are born a director. And that's a theory that I have that I'm prepared to hang on to, that you actually are born, because I know what a focused kid I was as well on the things that I enjoyed. And if I'm enjoying something now, even if it was something new, I would put 300% into it and be completely and utterly focused. And I think that that's part of what makes me a director. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the name suits you well. If you ask me, the chief, it just works.
Well, see, I'm not ego driven at all, so it's not about that. But when I shoot, I usually operate a camera.
Okay.
So if I shoot a music video, I usually shoot 3 cameras.
Okay.
And then I have somebody that I prefer to use as the DOP, I call that. Then a couple of camera operators. And yeah, I mean, I just shot 3 music videos for a band at the beginning of this year and made them, and they've been released. And I think in most of them, I think 50% of the shots are mine, because I know what to shoot and how to shoot it. But I'm really the director as well. But yeah, and I am the producer because I arrange everything. But I leave the producing hat at the door when I do the shoot. Yeah, and then I become the director, and I camera operate, because what I found is if I don't camera operate, I don't get all the footage that I need. Right. So I do that. That's just with music video. When I'm shooting cinematic film, I don't tend to operate the camera. Yeah, because usually the crew is much bigger, etc. But yeah, when I'm shooting music videos, I often, so if I'm shooting live performance or whatever, I do operate a camera, but I don't think of myself as a DOP. I at most would call myself a camera operator, but you can give me any camera and I can shoot it.
You can work it.
Because I know what I want. And I think that's another thing about being a filmmaker, knowing what you want. I think the novice filmmaker doesn't know what they want, and that's why they don't make great films, because they don't know what they want, and it's not just confidence. It's absolute, understanding of the medium that you're going to work in, that you have to deliver for the audience. And I think that's vital.
You don't write for yourself, you write for the audience.
You write and make for an audience, and if you make it for yourself, it's vanity. If you make it for an audience, it's much wider. It finds people that love or hate. So, for instance, these 3 music videos that I made, they haven't got one dislike.
Okay.
Right, so say 120,000 people have watched it, not one person has disliked it, which fills me with a lot of pride.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, you could imagine 120,000 views or something and you don't get a dislike. So you haven't done that badly. Yeah. I'm not, so yeah, and in my cinematic life, I made the things that I've made for an audience. And that's it. I appeared at it's called HorrorCon at the weekend with my friend, and a guy drove all the way down from Aberdeen to ask me questions.
Wow.
Yeah, and he wanted to ask about the film I'd made and what I'd done, because it's got a cult. It's a cult film, so it has fans. I was signing autographs and funny things like that you don't think that you ever should do as a filmmaker, but you sometimes you do. But yeah, there is a lot of knowledge inside you when you've done something for a long time. But the best thing is the feeling of creative success, that you know that you've achieved what you set out to do. It doesn't happen every single time, but it does happen. And it's a lovely feeling. And thinking about it, if you're going to live a life in a creative world and leave your work once you're not here anymore, that's fulfilling as well. So I'm sure it's, I'm a great lover of painting or illustration. And, imagine, I've got art by people that are no longer with us on my walls in my house. So that person lives on my walls, and so I think that happens a lot with creativity, that you can have a second life after you're no longer here, because people can discover your work, and that I'm sure that. Oh, I did music videos when I was on my BTEC in '93, and I made one for a band called Underneath What, and that was screened. And I was like a baby, I really didn't know anything. And I made it with a friend, and it was really funny because I shouldn't tell this story, but anyway, the leader of the course, we had one edit suite, so we didn't have lots of edit suites, and you used videotapes back then, and it was called 3-machine editing, and they all rolled back and forward, and they did all of this. Anyway, the guy on the course wouldn't let us edit all the time we needed to edit, so we went and got a key cut, and we used to. When the college closed, we used to sleep in the edit suite editing all night. And we would leave in the morning. So we'd edit from 9 at night till 8 in the morning to get this music video made and sent to MTV. And this guy didn't, it was like by any means necessary, but yeah, we just had to do it, and we worked every night in the edit suite.
Things have to be done.
It has to be done, yeah. So remember, that was that side of things as well. So the creative urge took over everything. I remember, I've even on a video, I've got a little video we made of us editing at night.
That's a reminder.
I should, one day I should get it out and have a look at it. It's quite funny, and so that was like 29 years ago. Yeah, so that's like so I don't think I can get into trouble or kicked off the course now.
No, it's long gone. Unless they take your degree.
Yeah,
so
so the wonderful thing about screening your work is audience reaction.
Okay.
Like when people come and talk to you, and yeah, it's not it's not the applause or any applause when you've showed the film. It's like it's just knowing that it's had a reaction and it gains an audience. I think that's fantastic when your work does that. The latest film that I've done that's going to be released this year has had in 1 week had 250,000 views. The trailer, and that is astonishing.
It is.
Yeah, 250,000 people watched it. Yeah, and it just went like that. So sometimes it just happens, but again, you have put your heart and soul into it. But obviously, there's other people involved in the collaboration. Because I always use an editor. Because I like using an editor. I don't really want to do that part myself. Because I think if you can do it without, if you shoot it and edit it yourself, you lose objectivity. So I always like to, yeah. So for me, yeah, I am a creative, but I also am a collaborator. Do you need a big camera? Yeah. Well, part of my philosophy is that you can make moving images with any camera. Okay. Right. It's just that it's got to be good. It's got to be classy. It's got to be interesting. So storytelling still is the most important thing, no matter what medium you use. But yeah, streaming's a good thing, and streaming makes the fact that we need more people to make more cinematic things. So there's never been a better time to be a filmmaker. So anybody out there that dreams of being a filmmaker, you've got more chance now of making it and it reaching an audience. Like I said, for me, the audience is everything. I love cinema, and tonight I'll go and watch Top Gun because I love cinema. So I want to go and watch it on a big screen with a big sound system. Yeah, it looks great. So I'm going to go and see it tonight on the iSense, which rumbles, and yeah, so I'm doing that. Looking forward to that a lot. So yeah, so that's it. All the films that I love, I go and watch at the cinema. But I've done that since I was 6 years old. So I'm just, it's my happy place, it's my comfortable place. I love the cinema. I get a complete buzz from the cinema. So it's great. So, and yeah, movies, I don't believe that you should just watch them all on digital platforms. I believe you should still own them. I think you should still have your favourite films available to you. I certainly do. I don't think, I'm going to rely on Netflix to watch Goodfellas, because if I wanted to watch Goodfellas and it wasn't there, I'd be stuck. I'd be bereft. Or if I wanted to use it to illustrate a point, I wouldn't be able to do it. So, but I understand why we downsize, and I understand why we use streaming services. I certainly watch stuff on them, because like I consume, so I consume what I'm interested in. But I'm a purist, so I watch probably 95% cinema and about 5% TV. Yeah, so I don't really watch a lot of TV. So
you won't find you watching EastEnders and Emmerdale.
no, you won't find me watching any of that stuff. But you will find me watching a movie.
Yeah.
I've always tried to watch at least 500 new movies a year. So that's my baseline goal, so that I can choose 10 or 15 that I actually like. And I go to the cinema. I use a rental company called Cinema Paradiso. I have Amazon Prime. I have Netflix, and then I download stuff. And I buy Blu-rays and DVD stuff.
Do you think that helps you then as a creative? Do you find new ideas by watching a lot of stuff, or for you that's just part of what you do is life? You don't have to derive anything from it.
No, I'm always looking for something great when I watch things, but I watch things because I enjoy it, and I always want to stay at the cutting edge and at the pinnacle of where cinema is. I want to know what is fantastic. I don't want to be the last person to hear about it. Excuse me. Yeah, so I just consume it. I try to watch it without critics and bias. I watch it because I want to watch it, and I try to be aware of what's out there. So whatever I've missed at the cinema goes on my Cinema Paradiso list, and then I prioritise it and watch it. So for me, it's knowledge, it's new knowledge. Just like I'm usually reading a film magazine, 2 music magazines, and a fiction book. And I don't know what, and I can read one for half an hour and the other one for an hour or whatever. I also, I think reading is a brain muscle enhancer that we all should do more of. And again, put your mobile phone down and pick up a book. It smells good. It feels like something. Read it. Go spend time. Don't let libraries die. We talk about cinema, but I don't want libraries to die because all that knowledge to the younger generation that could go. Yeah, I see back of shops. I see skips full of books because people just throw them away. I think it's wrong to throw books away. I don't care if it's brown and 50 years old. I like it because it's brown and it's 50 years old. Yeah, but maybe I'm an oddity. But funnily enough, in the last 5 years, a lot of young people have gone back to older media. So they're buying LPs again. They're buying things that are tangible. Maybe they're starting to learn that, downloads and digital this, you don't get anything for your money.
No. I think it's the other thing that's helped in the last year or two is the whole thing about the NFTs and all of that. So I'm sure people just want things that can, even if with the NFTs it's not exactly that, but I think it's just owning something, even if it's digital, but owning it. And but I think the physical book is even better. You know what? Thank you for sitting down and chatting with me. Your, workspace and studio, it's very creative-like. So that's why I don't think you ever hit a black wall, or you get hit by a black dog, or you get to that place where you can't be creative, because there's a lot in here. Thank you for having us in your home. It's a very lovely place, and sitting down and chat with me. Is there anything that, advice that you can give before we wrap up? Maybe 5 things that you can give to a new creative?
Oh yeah, sure. I can give advice to new creatives for sure. Is do it, live it, be it. Be authentic, be real. Never give up. Always dare to fail. Go on a journey. But more than anything else, discover yourself. Who you want to be is the most important thing. We live in the best time for creatives because we're not stigmatized as much as we once were. You can be whatever you want to be, whether it's he, she, whatever. Whether, people don't judge people quite the same way. There's nothing wrong with being homosexual. There's nothing wrong with coming from a different culture. I think the world has turned a corner in that respect. So that hopefully will enrich the creative world that we live in. But yeah, go do it. Do what you want to do, and see what you end up with. But always be challenging yourself. And never, ever, ever be boring.